Hi, Max Kaiser. Welcome back. Hey, time now to go to New Zealand and talk to William Mook. He's an entrepreneur, alternative energy expert, the inventor of computer-based cash registers, and today a real live Bitcoin miner. William Mook, welcome to the Kaiser Report.
Glad to be here, Max.
I want to get right into something. You mentioned that buying Bitcoin now, supporting Bitcoin now, is similar to the campaign to crash JP Morgan buy silver. Talk us through this.
Bitcoins can store value and they can be used as a medium of exchange. But with the appropriate adaptation of software, they can be used to make promises. That is, you can have a promise of a Bitcoin in the future and not require any banking system at all. It could just be totally distributed.
Okay, well, let's talk about the crash JP Morgan buy silver campaign, because the idea there was that JP Morgan was short billions of ounces of silver. If you took physical delivery of silver, you would force them to cover their shorts and impair their balance sheet and blow them to smithereens. Now, the issue there is that JP Morgan, because of the corruption between them and the U.S. government and their 90 trillion derivatives off-balance sheet pile of debts and other flora and fauna of financial chicanery, they're able to simply sell silver short, sell silver naked short in the silver market, in the silver futures market, and put a lid or a ceiling on silver. So we're having trouble breaking through that ceiling. However, with Bitcoin, since JP Morgan's not involved, since the government's not involved, everything we see in the world is going wrong is now being reflected in Bitcoin going higher. Your thoughts?
Yes, well, as soon as the 2.5% of the demand deposits on the bank go into Bitcoins, the Bitcoins will inflate in value to about $7.2 trillion, which is equal to all the currency in existence. And then at that point, because of the ease of mobility of those currencies, of the Bitcoin currency, it'll be preferred over the others.
Right, so the current market cap, if you will, of Bitcoin, the number of Bitcoins in circulation times the current price, is roughly $1 billion. But there is a case to be made, and Rick Falkvinge in Stockholm, of course, founder of the Swedish Pirate Party, the first pirate party in the world, has made the suggestion that Bitcoin could capture between 1 and 10% of global Forex exchange business, which would imply a price of Bitcoin between 100,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin from the current price of in the 80 to 90 level. Is that what you concur with that?
Well, I think it's around 700,000, and that equals the amount of money in circulation, and that's basically where it'll be. It'll only take 2.5% of the demand deposits in the world, and so I think people with looking at Cyprus and looking at other things that are happening around the world will look at this as an insurance policy to put 2.5% in Bitcoin, and basically the fiat currency can go the way of the dodo bird.
Okay, now William Mook, as I introduced, you are in fact one of those people out there that are mining Bitcoin, and this is a topic that's rarely talked about because it's complicated, it's highly technical, and I was wondering if you could tell us in as simple a manner possible what that means when you're mining Bitcoins.
Well, what we're doing is we're doing proof of work, and by doing that proof of work, we're actually helping keep the tables, the block ID tables up to speed. But you're primarily looking for special kinds of numbers that have the kind of properties that Satoshi Nakamoto says you need to have in order to have the same properties of currency. So it uses cryptography to secure, to make things counterfeit proof.
So at the moment, every 10 minutes or so, 25 new Bitcoins come into existence. That number has halved recently. It used to be 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. And then that number will halve again and will continue to halve going forward until the maximum number have been created, 21 million, and then that's it for the total circulation of Bitcoin. And so therefore, by that notion alone, it is completely against anyone's definition of a Ponzi scheme because there is a definite number, there's a finite number, therefore it's not a Ponzi scheme. Your thoughts?
It's not a Ponzi scheme at all because it's creating value by restricting the total volume of it. One of the other things that people don't really realize is that the smallest unit that a Bitcoin can have, a Bitcoin is actually a group of numbers, and they can be subdivided into 100 million pieces. So even at $700,000, a Satoshi, which is the smallest unit, is going to be less than 1 cent.
Right, so for ease of use going forward, this is what economists would call, or what Aristotle referred to as fungibility. You can divide a dollar into 100 pennies. You can divide a Bitcoin into 100,000 sub-Bitcoins or a Satoshi, and therefore you could still use it to make purchases of a nickel or 10 cents or 25 cents. So it fulfills all of Aristotle's four characteristics of sound money. It's fungible, it's durable, it has intrinsic value, I would argue, and it's sustainable. So going forward, when does the tipping point reach for Bitcoin where it achieves a certain amount of public acceptance and we are in a new world where Bitcoin is suddenly realized that it is, in fact, the potentially world reserve currency?
The only thing keeping people out of Bitcoin, well, there are two things, I guess. Complexity, but that software is going to handle that. And the other is perceived risk. And as the banking system gets more risky, people will be willing to take that risk. What they need to know is that no matter what the price, if the price is under $500,000, they should at least put 2.5% of their liquid holdings in Bitcoin as an insurance contract. And if they did that, Bitcoin would displace all other currencies.
Now, William Mook, the implications for Bitcoin geopolitically are quite astounding because, for example, we have countries in the world today that are being subjected to economic blockades. But going forward, using Bitcoin to bypass geopolitical blockades, doesn't this completely change the map geopolitically going forward?
Yes, it does. It puts power back in the hands of individuals and removes you from centralized control. I believe that there's been a capital strike among the highest tier of capital, and that's why we haven't seen progress the way we should have. The only thing that we've seen progress in are areas that control larger and larger groups of people, like the internet. But that has been sort of hijacked by pirates to liberate people. And so this will happen with Bitcoins as well.
Let's talk. I want to just jump in and talk about this. The internet itself, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it was a wide open, completely free. Corporations hadn't figured it out yet. The governments didn't know what the heck was going on. Here we are in the year 2013. Governments clearly have influence on the internet. Governments are using the internet. They're using Facebook. They're using these other outlets for spying on people. So the internet, as it was known 15 years ago, has been compromised. My question is there still enough of the internet alive and free today to get us through this harsh penalty of government occupation by financial terrorists, to get us through to the other side? Is there enough of this internet still available on the free bandwidth to support this Bitcoin going forward? Are we going to make it, William Mook, to the promised land of a free society with a free currency? Your thoughts? I realize it's a bit of a philosophical question, but if you have any thoughts.
There's a development arc in any technology, and the technocrats or the technologists sort of perceive this. But the arc is internet protocol, but then it evolves down into what's known as meshnet, where you don't need central switches. You have enough capacity in each handset or each laptop to link with nearest neighbors, and enough bandwidth between neighbors and enough computing capacity to pass messages back and forth without any central control at all. So the internet is still under technical development and will continue to be under technical development for the next 10 years. And it will make central control, no matter what they try to do, totally obsolete. On the other side, we have finance. Bitcoin is the opening shot, but it's not the final word by a long shot. And there are technologies. I've been working on a few of those. And over the next 12 to 18 months, once the Bitcoin reaches critical mass, you will see banks will no longer be needed for anything. And then the third level is self-replicating machine systems or 3D printers. That will continue to grow, and over the next 24 to 36 months, it will make all major centralized factories obsolete. And so people will be able to share information and build things, and at that point, we'll be able to break through the logjam, with energy and the scarcity, the artificial scarcity.